And I hope that you are ready to add some really great collectibles to your collection. We're starting off with the 1881 from the San Francisco Mint, the uncirculated Morgan silver dollar.
Well, this is an interesting coin, $99.95. So this is an original 1881 San Francisco minted Morgan silver dollar. Look at this coin. So people say, where do these come from? Which is a great question. It's one of the number one questions I get from people. So where do you get your coins? Well, they come from dealers, which come from estates and all these other things. This particular coin came to us because of the palladium coin that we're going to be showing here shortly. The palladium has taken the numismatic world by storm. We'll get to that. We'll talk about how we've had price increases in like the NGC. We had to raise the price $700. Wow. We had to raise the price $700 on the NGC palladium. But people, coin dealers, all their customers, everybody wants palladium. So what that creates is stuff that they've been holding literally for years and years and years that they're finally selling. They're finally putting into the marketplace. What I was able to get here is a bag, which is 1,000 coins, an original bag of 1881 S Morgan silver dollars. And what that means is when the government made these, they put them into these big canvas bags, and they, in essence, sat in the government vault for 100+ years. In this case, not quite 100 years. And then they circulated as, not circulated, but they went around the numismatic market in these original bags. And I was able to get an original bag of 1881 S-minted coins. This guy's probably had these since the late 70s, but this is what he had that he could get cash for to buy the brand new palladiums. And so that's why I've got these coins right here. Now, we had 1,000 of these in the bag. I aired it one other time before. I think we're down to about 600 or so of these. Oh, it's fewer than
600 now.
So in one airing, we sold 400+ coins. So look at this coin. This coin was made in 1881. In San Francisco, and I keep doing this so you can see the original luster that's on this coin.
Yes.
This is a coin that's going to be mint state 60, mint state, or beyond mint state 60, mint state 62, mint state 63, might even be some mint state 64s in there. The $99.95 is the amazing part of this coin. It looks like it was absolutely brand new. And what people say is, how do you get them shiny like that? So what do? You shine them up real good? These coins are 100% just the way they came off the mint in 1881 in San Francisco. Now, the other nice part is the San Francisco minted coins had just kind of gotten some new dyes and new technology. So they also, in 1881, happened to make some of the best coins that you're going to see in 1881 came from the San Francisco Mint, much better than the Philadelphia minted coins or the New Orleans minted coins. New Orleans had kind of the oldest equipment. So that's why these 1881s are absolutely stunning, 100% original, not reprinted, restruck, or redone in any way, shape, or form. And in terms of like mint state 63, I've never sold a mint state 63 coin for less than like $139.
Wow.
And this is $99. So it's not just that I got the coins, but I got them at such an incredible price.
That's
100% original.
That's right. I mean, you get to take advantage of the fact that these are now kind of back on the market. People are willing to let them go. You're able to get them into your collection, and you've got them on 3 flex pay of $33.32. We just wanted to start off very quickly. I know that was a quick presentation because I know everybody's itching to get to the palladium, which we will have full presentations of. I do want to move on to more for you in this